again. I'm Henry T. Wow, what a blessing to be here today. And to be here, it's cold outside. There's snow here. There's blowing dust over here. But we're here. And whatever it is that we have in front of us, we're going to endure it and share. And I am so happy that this show has turned into versatility. We do a lot of sports, a lot of athletes, and we do a lot of love and care and healing. And we're sensitive to what's going on out there. Why are people hurting? Why are families being disrupted? Where is this disruptive behavior coming from? How's it affecting us? How can we come together and be teammates and rise through all that toughness and pestilence and negative influence in our lives? How can we come together and remove these rough times? And today we're going to do just that with our new friend, Clarissa Rudolph. I read her on Facebook. She's an author, sensitive heart, school teacher, counselor. She's given her life to others. She's a beautiful family that she shares unreluctantly, openly, and through her writing, through her communication, she helps us. She helps us all. I want to have you meet her. Clarissa Rudolph, good morning. I'm Henry T. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's great to have you here. And it's about time. If you don't mind, fundamentally tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, I am right now an elementary school counselor, and I was a teacher for 16 years, and I'm an author. So I wrote a few books about healing from grief. I wanted to help people. I first started writing to help children who were grieving, children I worked with. I wanted them to heal, and so that's what I do.
You're a healer. How do you
Yes.
get that done? I mean, you set out every day a little game plan, and that's impressive. You want to make a difference in people's lives every day, and it just isn't abracadabra. You plan it. What does your day consist of usually?
Well, I've been working with students, since the pandemic hit. So I've been working with them virtual, and I go into the classrooms every single day except Mondays, and I help them with the regulating their emotions and helping them build skills to help them with those emotions, and then I teach them how to be resilient. We look at real life people who have been resilient, and then we practice those skills. And so I think it has been wonderful to do. And I also go out and I help people. I talk to people. I have had a lot of people reach out to me who have lost loved ones tragically. And so I have shared my books with people. I've sent a few of them out to people who have lost their loved ones, and just kind of guided them about how to heal from all that pain.
Wow. Now, you don't have any qualms of sharing your tough experiences with all of us. How do you go through that experience? A lot of us like to stay private, but you seem to show us that, hey, it's not good to lock it all up. Let it go a little bit. Do you want to dwell on that?
Sure, sure. I was 4 months pregnant when my mom died in a car accident. And that was a really hard experience. That was very traumatic. And I learned, to deal with her death in a way that would help me heal. And I started to really read the Bible and get comfort from the scriptures. I read a scripture that really I didn't really understand, and it was in let's see, First Thessalonians 5:16, and it said to rejoice always. And that really was a hard thing to do. When you lose your mom, you don't want to rejoice. I mean, you want to grieve. And so I realized that healing was about grieving, working through those feelings. And so I began to find ways to cope with her death. So I began writing, I began journaling, I began exercising more often. I began crying, and I began sharing with people who would listen. I mean, complete strangers. I would tell them about my mom, and it was a way to heal. And as my mom's been gone for 27 years, and one thing I've learned, healing is not about getting over it. Healing is about getting through it. And healing is about having more happy days than sad days, and more good days than bad days. And that's how my mom would have wanted it to be. She would want me to have more happy days. And so that is healing. But like today is her birthday. This is her birthday, and I celebrate her birthday. There are times that I bake a cake for her and celebrate. And that's part of my grieving. I miss her today, and I allow myself to feel sad if I want to.
My goodness. What kind of influence did she have within you, all over you? What was her effect on you?
Well, my mom was someone she just had a lot of wisdom. And she would say things like, what man takes from one hand, God gives in abundance in the other hand. Or she would say, leave people better than you find them. If people are having a hard time, try to find a way to leave them better than you found them. So I just think she had so much wisdom, and she had compassion for people. And I think that's what I learned from her. She modeled those behaviors. She demonstrated that in her own life. She prayed every day. She cried. We would go visit her dad's grave every year, and she would tell us stories about him. And so even though I never knew him, because he died when she was only 8 years old, he would come to life in my mind. And that's how I got my idea of my first book, The Healing Basket, because this about a woman who tells a little girl's stories about her life and her losses, and how she remembered her parents and her life. So my mom gave me that idea of writing The Healing Basket.
Show us the cover to that book.
Oh, sure. This is The Healing.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And then I have this other book, Letters from My Mom, Long Since Gone.
Gee.
And this book it very much parallels my life, even though it's a fictional story. It parallels my mom in the sense that the death of my mom, in the sense that the character loses her mom in the same way that I lost my mom, and she's pregnant. And it's a journey of grief and recovery. I want people to know that even though that we go through trauma, even though we go through grief, we can recover, we can heal. It's possible.
Well, grieving is something I'm brand new at.
Yeah.
And losing your mom is, there's so many ways to live your life, and every day is a new grieving experience. And I appreciate that. It's not an overnight experience.
That's right.
every day for 27 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And you smile through it. You tell these stories with such an exciting gift. I mean, you really smile. And to live these experiences, you cried through them. But today, these tears are turning into smiles. And how do we do that?
Well, I carry scriptures around my head, even though I don't always know where to find them. I know what they are. And one of the scriptures that always I carried with me after my mom died was, "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can man do to me? What can grief do to me? What can sadness do to me? What can tears do to me? What can anything do to me? Because as long as the Lord helps us through it, we can get through it. Nothing can keep us from getting through it." And I think, just getting comfort from the Bible is a coping skill. I see God in my relationships with people. I see God in I see God in little children. They're like little angels. I see God in the birds in the air. I see God in nature. These are ways of comforting us, is the beauty of life. And if we focus on the beauty of life, we feel the comfort of God.
Wow. And through your counseling mandates on your campus, do little kids have problems that they need to express? And how do they know that they can express them? Maybe they have an argument with a sibling at home that bothers them. As parents, we see it, but maybe we don't really recognize what just happened there. How can a parent intervene with that little hurt, that little argument, and make things better? Can we, as parents, intervene and make things better? Because every day there's an experience at home that happens. Hey, you took my share of our chocolate chip cookies, and then a little slap on the back or a mean word or whatever. Little things, big things, how do we cope with them as a parent watching our siblings have different disagreements?
Well, I think I really like, there's a program called Love and Logic, and I really like that because it's about being logical and using love. And I think love is a demonstration of actions. So I think we have to allow our children to work through some of those things. We have to just allow them to, if there's a disagreement, we can mediate, but we need to help them work through them. So many times when I work with children, I tell them, okay, you guys, you can tell me the problem one time. Tell me the problem. You can tell me everything you want to do, everything you want to say, everything that happened. And then we're going to find a solution. And I think that's how we have to deal with our children, is like we want to have them find solutions to problems. We want to guide them. We want to let them talk about how it made them feel. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel frustrated, but it's how we deal with those feelings. Sometimes we need to take a break. We need to walk away. I used to tell my daughters, go to timeout. Do you want to be grounded for the rest of your lives, or do you want to be grounded for an hour? Because mom needs to regulate her feelings too, And I think it's okay to take that time out. It's okay to let our children cry when they're hurting. When something happens to a child, they magnify it. So we have to understand that children see things through a magnified lens. and they're a lot worse than what we can ever imagine, because children just magnify everything. So we have the logic to work through trauma, whereas children, they see it in, they start to have nightmares, and they start to be afraid, and it's because it's magnified. So we just need to bring it down and allow them to cry, allow them to be sad, and just let them be. Listen to them. I think that's what I've seen has been very beneficial to children getting through trauma.
You know, parents don't always have the blessing of going to a class tonight at 6:30 at the University of New Mexico to find out how to be a better parent. You have the luxury, because you've chosen the profession of seeking out different ways to learn how to cope, to learn how to teach. But your regular day parent has to work, gosh, ad lib, react immediately. There's no class to prepare the parent, but you've got a situation that you've got to handle as a parent. How do we as parents build ourselves into more responsible, very effective, responsible parents in situations like that? Because we don't have a classroom to go to learn it.
Well, and I think for me, I did a lot of reading. I went to parenting classes. I lost my mom young, so I didn't really have my mom to help me. So I found other ways to build a support system. I think it's healthy to build support systems to help raise our children. And it's healthy to, if we need the support, and we need counseling, we should get it. If we need family counseling, we should get it. If we need to take workshops, we should take them. We should go through the workshops. We need to read up on parenting, and advice is just advice. We don't have to take it all. Some things, what works for one child may not work for another child. All of our children are different. But we have to know those key areas, and we have to learn we have to be very mindful on how we talk to our children. So, instead of telling a child that they're, they're overwhelming or something, you can say, gosh, you have some great leadership skills, or wow, you are so clever. Just changing the paradigm of how we see our children, finding those things that many people see as critical and turning it into something positive. We have a lot of leaders, a lot of clever children. We have a lot of, there was this one video that I love showing my students about Mr. Jensen. And to quickly say, this little boy used to he used to get in trouble for tapping. And this Mr. Jensen told him, "You're not a problem, you're a drummer." And this little boy became a professional drummer. So, we just need to change the paradigm. We need to see our children's strengths. We need to find ways to help them through life.
On the other end, I've been in a shopping center or grocery store where the little boy or girl agitated the mom or dad, and then suddenly it's all hot and everybody's misbehaving, and the parents yelling at the child. You will never be worth anything in your whole life. You're worthless. And all negative. You will never amount to anything in your life. And it was repetitive. And I'm thinking, gee, do those negative those words ever affect a child where they start believing that talk? They start losing their confidence that they're ever going to be worthwhile because they hear it in a negative form a lot from the people that they love. Geez, that means I'm never going to achieve my dreams? Am I really no good for nothing?
Well, what I do is I said at the beginning, is I help students with resiliency, and I show them real life people who actually went through some of that. Like Walt Disney, he was told that he had no imagination and was fired from a job. And so I share his story over and over again. And I let them know that, I asked him what would happen if Walt Disney believed that. He had to erase those messages from his head, because we know Walt Disney has a lot of imagination. He created the Disney princesses, he created Mickey Mouse. I said, we can't always believe, what we hear. We have to erase the negative things from our mind, and we have to replace them with the positive things. And I just think that we have to see what purpose we have in life, and we have to realize that every child, was created for a purpose and a plan. God has plans for all of us, all of our children, and we just have to find what it is, and we have to help them. And we have to take ownership. If we say those words, we have to find a way to say, hey, I am sorry. I am so sorry I hurt you. And help our children recover from some of the harsh words that we use.
Wow. So if we as parents down talk our children, we can actually hurt them without even knowing it, and convince them that they're truly not worth a darn, quote, if we keep telling them so.
That's correct.
Have you seen that in your studies?
If I do, what I tend to do is correct it. And I think people are very open to hearing what I say, because I think everybody wants to be told that they're going to do something great. And even as parents, parents love their children. I really see that with parents. I see most of our parents are amazing. They want to do well by their children. Unfortunately, sometimes they do say some harsh words. And so we have to help our parents change that mindset. And sometimes it's generational. What we heard from our parents was heard from their parents, and we need to break those cycles. And it can be done. But most parents that I've worked with are just amazing. I really appreciate them. I really support our parents. And those that have a hard time, they just need to build that support system to help them. We all need support. It takes a village to raise a child, for sure.
Clarissa, we don't have much time left here.
Okay.
But we want to know how to get your books. You have 2 of them in your hand. Show them again. Tell us where we get them. And if you're available on your website, I don't know if you have a communication way with our public. We want to be careful how we deal with this, but you've got a lot to say. And thank God you studied children and their relationships with their families. How do we get these books? How do we get in communication with you?
Okay, well, you could get these books on Amazon. And I have a website. If you just Google my name, Clarissa Rudolph-Hastings, it is on the internet. You can find my website, and you can send me an email from my website. You can also, I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Send me a message, and I'm going to be a co-host in the United Kingdom, and I'll be talking about grief in a program called Airway to Heaven once a month for the next year. And I'm also creating a workshop. It's a psychoeducational workshop for people who deal with grief. And all you need to do is buy the Healing Basket. And it'll be a 10-week course. And I'm going to start it in May. So if you're interested in that, get in touch with me, and I will definitely sign you up.
What compelled you to go down this road? What opened up your heart to healing? And how did you find out that you could be a catalyst to make days better for people, to help them solve their problems?
Well, I've been through a lot of trauma in life. I've worked through a lot of trauma, and I've figured out how to deal with it. And I want to share that with people. You know, when you see some good things happen in your life, you want to share it. When you work through hardships, you want to share it. It's just my own personal experience, and also having been able to go to college and get a degree, and I worked as a chaplain in a hospital. So I have a lot of experience with grief, and not only my own grief, but also working with people. And I realize I want to make that connection. That's the way I make a connection. I get connected with people is, if you've been traumatized and want to find a way to heal, I am the person that can help you, because I know what it takes to get to be more healed. Because I have more good days than bad days, and more happy days and sad days. So I have found a path to healing.
Wow. And with that great smile, I
Thank
can
you.
tell that it's really enhanced your ability to be very effective with your own children.
Yes, I have an amazing relationship with my children, and I am so blessed. And I wrote the second book, Letters from My Mom, Long Since Gone, and I left at the very end of the book, I write them a letter as a legacy so that they'll always remember me. If anything ever happens to me, they'll always go back and read that letter and remember me.
Mm. Now, the last question, fellowship. Does it help if we as parents get involved with a church, with a pastor, to help us through some of these problems?
It really does. I think when we have fellowship, and we attend church and we build those relationships with like-minded people, they help us with scriptures. They help guide us. And if it's a really healthy church, they'll allow us to ask questions. So I think fellowship is key. It's a great strategy. It's my number one strategy. It's my to-go strategy. And, it's helped me heal the most.
Amen. Well, thank you for being with us today.
Thank
We'll
you.
do it again.
Yes, let's do it again, Henry.
And
I love it.
we'll have part 2.
All right. Sounds great.
You're a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you, Henry. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Take care, Clarissa. Wow. Another avenue for us parents to grow and be better and more effective at this huge responsibility of being parents. And she gave us a very positive, very strong outlet on the future, how we can be better parents. And we'll buy those books and get online with her and listen to the rerun of this show as it's presented all day long here on Facebook and on Comcast 26, ProView Networks, GovTV, all day long, so we can hear Clarissa again. Right now, we're going to say thank you to our sponsors because they're so good to us. And there they are. Amastroy Drywall, Pierre Amastroy and his great family, Ben Lucero, Indigo Mortgage, Canteen with Kevin out there taking care of us, Richie Tabbitt at Rax Lumber Company. Wow, great people who really care about us. And today, go get you some Hydro Bar water with Tim and his family. Tim Barker, great guy. He and his wife Julie have put together literally a store where you can go to them every day and purchase the purest, cleanest water in our state. It's an amazing family and an amazing product. Right now, we're going to go back in time and we're going to visit with my high school football coach. His name is Clem Charlton. Good man. He's in his 90s now and pumps iron, exercises a lot, and mentally, spiritually strong man, and former University of New Mexico football star. Good guy, leader, and he was a leader for me way back in the day. And he's still teaching Henry T. how to get through the goods and the bads and the rough times. And I'm still listening to Coach Charlton to this day. Let's recall a recent conversation that we had together with Coach Clem Charlton. Here's that everything.
Coach, what a pleasure having you right here.
Well, Henry, it's great. I'm proud to be here, and you've always been one of my favorites. And it's nice that you're doing well and back in the business. I know you enjoy doing, so I appreciate you having me here, and it's great.
You know, there are honors in our life that we have that we never forget. This is truly an honor to have you today because of those fundamental things I just gave the audience, how much you helped me as a young man, and at that age we're so vulnerable. 16 years of age, 15, whatever you are as a sophomore, and there you were as my football coach, but more than that, you want to make sure that Henry T. was doing his schoolwork. I was a good character kid. I was doing the right things. You went beyond the call of duty to help us all. Thank you.
Well, you know, when we first started out at Sandia, we were kind of dragging. The school hadn't been finished, and the roofs leaked. They had to replace all the ceilings in the buildings, so everything was kind of down. But we had a pretty good relationship. We got started. It was rough, no football field, no fences around the school or anything. But we managed. And as the years went by, things got better. And right now they still are using the same buildings, but they have never been replaced.
Yeah.
Almost all the other schools, they have built a new library at Sandia, but the other buildings are still there. And they had to do away with all the ceilings were glass, but they never could stop the leaking. So they finally replaced them. So there's no door, there's no windows in Sandia High School. Everything. So it was a a time, but we had a good time and we enjoyed it, and it was.
And we won football games.
Yeah, we had good teams. We were fighters. Sometimes we'd have to throw sand in people's face to get by them, but we'd do it.
The only thing I can remember that hurt my feelings as a high school football player, we lost to Highland 3 years in a row. Great games. They beat us at the end of the game some way, maybe by Henry T. letting the wide receiver get behind me or something, but something late in the game always beat us. We were right there beating the Hornets, coached by your buddy, Bill Gentry.
Yeah.
Those are the only times I said, darn, why couldn't we beat those guys?
Well, we did a few times, but we were split 4 times in 12 years.
Wow.
The first time El Dorado opened up, Del Norte opened up, and El Dorado. La Cueva was the last school. But it was tough. We'd have 4 good years, and then we'd new high school. Then we'd be playing against some of the kids that we'd worked with for 2 or 3 years, you know.
But we beat everybody.
Yeah.
And you were a great leader, and you had great assistants like Jim Ottman, who later became the head coach. And to this day, you and Coach Ottman are close best friends.
Oh, yeah. Jim and I play golf. We see each other. We go to all the university games together. We play golf together. And we socialize. He's a good guy, and I brought him to Sandia in '64 after his career at the university, and we've always got along well. We didn't always agree, but we always managed to get by and do things. But he was a great guy and a good coach. Got a nice family. His son now is teaching in the public school system, and his wife she's working in the public school. So it's been a nice relationship.
And 2 former Lobos, Coach Charlton and Jim Ottman. And, man, they taught us that Lobo football philosophy. We were pretty good. We were organized. And, man, I'll tell you what, there was one experience I'll never forget because I paid a big price. I'm the starting quarterback our junior year, and I had a late test to take in the library. And it took me about 5 minutes extra long, tough test. I remember that day like it was yesterday. And Coach had already given a big spiel to the other football players. Do not put your helmet under the bus. It's too hot under there. I wasn't at that short little meeting. I was still taking the test. So what does Henry T do? I get my bag, throw everything under the bus, including my helmet. By the time we got to Farmington, what did my helmet look like, Coach?
It was flat all the way to them. There were plastic helmets, and they melted and just flattened out. But you played.
But you disciplined me. I didn't get to play the first series because you're upset with me. But I got my message, and I went out there at Farmington. Tough place to play, but I had a pretty good game. I think we won that game. But that was one thing about your discipline. When you spoke, we listened, and we adhered to what you ever said to us. Things have changed a little bit. There's a little rebellion in modern days. We didn't think the word rebellion. We said, yes, sir.
I think that's kind of true, too. But at the same time, I admire a lot of these coaches now. The talent is so much more fit for the game. You know, they worked with them, and they advanced so much in football. It's just hard to believe.
How about the equipment the kids have today?
Oh, yes, that's great. I think that's the one thing that has saved the game is the equipment is so much better that protects the kids.
What made you want to coach? Way back when?
I had an uncle, my stepfather's uncle was the coach of the New York Giants, Steve Owens. And when I was in the service, I got to sit on the bench with the Giants twice in New York City and once in Washington, D.C. when I was stationed back there. And I don't know, I just that was in my blood, and I wanted to be there. And we played football in the park over by the university every Saturday for months, about 20 of us. And we even had a football that didn't hold air, but we stuffed it with rags so we could use it.
But something got into your blood that you said, I want to teach. You were a great athlete. And when you're a great athlete, you want to take those attributes and share them with kids. Did that happen to you?
Well, you know, I tell you, I wasn't much of a student in high school. I did enough to stay eligible. But after I spent 3.5 years in the Navy during the war,
wow,
I realized then that I was on the USS Cleveland, and I was kind of in charge of the athletic things after I'd been there for years and everything like that, as an electrician. And I don't know, it just dawned on me that's what I wanted to do, and I was going to do it. And then when I got out of school, or out of the service, I went to university and I was given a scholarship. There was 280 guys reported for football the first year at the university. I mean, they were from everywhere. It was tough. And they had equipment probably for 100. So there was a long time there where the guys quit because they couldn't do anything. There was no equipment or anything like that. But I was a local guy, so I hung in there. And about the third or fourth game, we was getting beat. They won the Sun Bowl the year before, and they had something like 20 of those guys back for the next year.
Who was your coach?
Well, Willie Barr was the coach when that time, but Burl Huffman from Texas Tech was the one that coached me the last 3 years I was at the university.
Wow.
He was a tough guy.
Well, you know, you were tough, you were firm, but you were a nice guy, and we loved playing for Coach Charlton.
Well, I appreciate that.
Amen. Since then, you've been the epitome of health. You really stick to your guns as far as physical fitness is concerned, especially for your players, but equally especially for yourself. How do you live 95 years on planet Earth and look and feel like you do?
Well, you know, I got interested in weights when I was in the Navy. I had a chief petty officer that was a bodybuilder, and he gave me the weight room at the Cleveland, and it was in the hangar. We had 2 airplanes aboard the Cleveland, but they had that hangar, and we just had weights there, and I got interested in it. And so when I come to university and I started my career at Highland, I started a weight program. My wrestling team was so weak I couldn't believe it the first year I was there. So I put them on weights. And the last 3 years we was there, we won state championship. Wow. And I had a coach tell me from Wyoming, he said, your kids are the strongest that we've ever run up against. And I said, well, I contribute that to weight training.
Gee.
So I started it at Highland, and I kept up at Sandia. You know, you worked on the weights there.
Amen.
But I still do it. I can't do nearly as much. Well, if I pick a bar up, I think I'm a hero now. But
you know what? I was amazed at how good a shape I could be in with his leadership. And, you know, even though I gained a little weight over the years, I've never lost that feeling that I have to run. I have to stay in shape. I have to eat well, and you do all of the above. What do you eat?
What do I eat?
Yeah.
I have 3 meals a day, that's for sure. I don't try to skip. I eat a good breakfast, and if anything that's skippy, it's my lunch. Because I'm usually at the golf course, and if I sneak a sandwich in, they have free food there and things like that. But and I got a wife that can cook. She's a great cook, so.
Tell us about Jean.
She's just the gal that I met that we were both divorced, and she had 2 children and I have 2. So between us we got 9 great grandkids.
Wow.
And 7 of them are boys.
Amazing.
2 girls. The oldest one's a girl, and the youngest one is a boy, but he's 5 months old now.
Quality of life has always been first and foremost in your life.
Yeah.
Like you said, you golf every day, you ride your bike, you go to the games, you and Jean do this and you do that. Quality of life for Clem Charlton, it's always been great.
I've never had alcohol, never touched it. I've had 4 beers in my life, and that was special occasions. And no smoking. I've never touched it. So
the game of football was special to you. What was it about that game in particular that fired you up?
Well, competition. You know, just try to be tougher than the guy in front of you, and things like that. And my coach from Texas Tech, Burl Huffman, That's all he wanted was just, knock somebody down, head hit. And he was a great guy. On the field, he was a demon.
Yeah.
But in his office and as a person, he was a great human being. But
I had a great neighbor, great friend throughout my life, and a great football star, a great athlete for you and the other coaches at Sandia. Jimmy Pepin was my neighbor. And I'd see him walking across this field with a big bag. In the bag were like 4 footballs. He had a basketball in there. He had weights. He had leg weights. He had baseball bats. He had everything in there.
He's a good
and
athlete.
he'd go to the park next to my home, and I'd see this guy every day. I mean, every day, Jimmy Pepin and his bag. One of those big bags that Santa Claus takes on Christmas Eve, filled with athletic gear. I'd watch him. I'd say, who is this guy? And I'd go over to the park where the Heights Boys Club is now, and I'd watch him. I'd stand behind trees and kind of hide. And he discovered me one day. He said, hey, buddy, come here. Stand over here. I'm going to pump the ball. And you throw it back to me. And I said, yes, sir. I was just so happy he recognized me and made me a part of what he was doing. And he'd pump the ball, and I'd catch. I'd learn how to catch this high-flying football. And then I had to throw it back to him accurately, about 40 yards or so. And that taught me how to build my arm and throw the ball well. And he built me and trained me and developed me into a young athlete. Jimmy Pepin. He got me ready for you.
But before that, Jimmy's father, when I was in grade school, was a great athlete. And Albuquerque High played their games down where Washington Junior High School is now. And I used to go down there and watch it. And his father was as good an athlete as he was. He set a record in pole vaulting in the state. And he could do anything. And Jimmy was just exactly like him. He was a great kid, good student.
Oh.
And his life was cut short. It was a miserable
That's
thing.
too bad.
Too bad, yes.
But he led me
Oh,
to
he
be a matador.
was a great kid, good student.
And when I was a sophomore, of course, freshmen couldn't play. I was at McKinley, but you sent me into the game. Our quarterback got hurt on a play or two. You said, Henry, get in the game and get in that huddle. It's third down. Here's your pass play. I went in to call the play, and Jimmy knew he was going to be the receiver on that play. And being close friends, he roughed me up in the huddle. And throw it right. I'll be open. Henry, throw that ball right. And I said, I might have said a foul word or something because he ticked me off right there. He said one, I almost said one back. Throw that blankety blank ball. I'll be open right over here. And it was our homecoming game. Sandy, up to that point, had never, ever won a homecoming game. Ray Bennett was on the field for Great Santa Fe. He was a great player. So we called the play. I dropped back, and that adrenaline you get when you're an athlete, man, you can throw the ball 100 miles and run like a superstar. I had that feeling of adrenaline. I dropped back and threw the tightest spiral you've ever seen, and I hit Jimmy right there down the field about 30 yards, and he ran the sideline into the end zone for a touchdown. My first play as a varsity player, Henry T. throws a touchdown to my good buddy Jimmy Pepin, and then Jimmy comes back and he gives him one of those early high fives. And way to go, Henry! So I'll never forget that moment. Thank you for that moment.
He came from a great family, though. A good kid. It was just a pity. His life was short. He never lasted. He died as a young man, but it was hard to handle. But
yeah, all the kids you've coached, many of them come back. Many of them write you, and now with Facebook and the computer, how many ex-matadors come back to say hi to you and say thank you?
I couldn't count them all. I got on. I was nominated to the Hall of Fame at the university, so I think I got a telephone call about a month ago from California. There was a kid that I'd coached, and had gone to university but didn't play. And he called. He read it in the alumni magazine from the university, and he called me to congratulate me. And those are the kind of things that happens a lot, and that it makes the old man feel good, and his life wasn't wasted altogether, or something like that.
There was a time, a Friday night I'll never forget. We had what we called back then Father-Son Night at Wilson Stadium. And everybody's lined up. Stand here, let's go, football team. Here's your spot. Henry T., this is your spot. And everybody had a dad there, and unfortunately my mom and dad had split up very early in my life, so I really didn't know what was going on. But I was standing there alone. Not for long, because Coach Charlton noticed I was there alone in my box, so to speak, and he came over and stood by me so I would have representation with a dad next to me. That's the kind of man Clem Charlton is and was back then. I think of that moment, I get emotional. Thank you for that moment.
Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure being here, and I thank you very much for this interview.
Wow.
And you were a great kid, and we did us good, and we're proud of you.
Did I throw the ball straight for you? Did I run the show in the huddle for you? No.
Yeah. Is this it?
No, not yet. It's not over till the horn sounds. You know the game.
Okay.
No. And there was another time. You sent in a play with one of the guys in the team. Quick kick, Henry. Quick kick. And I said, no, I'm going to have the word from Coach. He was actually bringing your word into the huddle. But he didn't represent himself as, hey, Henry, Coach wants you to quick kick. So I said, no, I ran some of their play. And we fumbled on that play at our own 5-yard line. And it was against the big Roswell Coyotes that night at Wilson Stadium. I came off the field, and you were in my face. It was one of those come to Jesus meetings right there to the sideline. Henry, I wanted you to quick kick. And I said, well, he didn't tell me you sent the play in. I thought he was just suggesting the play. You were all over my case. So it was always one of those, you better do it right. Coach Charlton's going to get on you.
Well, you didn't make many. Everybody makes mistakes.
But it was something I'll never forget.
Yeah, well, I know, but you got to take a look at the situation a lot of times too. I know I didn't play perfect ball in college, and I played in high school for Coach Wilson, and there was a lot of times there when he'd nail me and say something to me, and I didn't think I was wrong, but I didn't dare say anything. But
that's what you just reminded me of something. Football at UNM, back in your day. Then it moves up to the days of Bobby Santiago and Jim Ottman and championships and all of that. You had some championships in your time. And then we kind of we had Rocky Long do quite well. Other programs at UNM football had not done that well.
No.
Why not? And what's the status of today with Danny Gonzalez, the new coach?
I think it's good. I like him. I knew him when he was at Valley and was familiar with him when he was playing at the university. He's a good man. I think he's got a lot of it on the ball, and the thing that I'm impressed by, he's hired some doggone good guys to help him. He brought back Rocky, and I think that's one of the best moves they had. Rocky proved that he was good when he was at San Diego State.
Wow.
And now he's back and helping. I think they may not do as well this year because of the situation and all this virus thing, but I think if they'll leave him alone and give him a chance, financially we're not the best, richest school in the country, but we'll make it. It's going to be all right. I got a lot of high hope for him, and I think he's a good kid, good guy. I've been to a couple of practices before they eliminated all of us. Jim and I used to go over and watch them. And, they got an indoor field house now and everything, so
Wow.
it's really big time with that equipment. We've been over there and we've watched them. And they'll do well if they just leave him alone and give him a chance.
What's your career been like, Coach? You dedicated it to kids to make sure that they grew up with good character, had something good to do. They leaned on you for that character many times, how to be a good student, how to be a good person. What's your career been like?
Well, I'm fine. I've had high points and real low points. And, like I said, we was at Sandia for 12 years, and the first 12 years we were split 4 times. And we played with kids that we coached for 2 years. We played against them in the second and third year they was in school. They'd come back to another school. But I think life's been good to me.
Amen.
I've good family, good kids, and I'm pleased. I'm happy. Hell, I'm ready to go.
What's your legacy? As you someday get called to heaven, what's Clem Charlton's legacy?
Oh, I don't know. I'll probably end up in hell because of all the things.
No way.
But
People are going
anyway,
to say about you. What do you want them to say about you?
just a fair guy. Gave everybody. I think I gave everybody a chance to prove it if they wanted to. I don't remember ever just kicking guys off the team for something that there was times. We had one kid at San Diego that ended up robbing the store, and he got caught, and things like that. Well, you know those kind of characters come around, but you can't really do anything about it. But I have no complaints.
Most kids under your guidance are going to stay on the narrow road.
I hope.
Of great character. That's what I experienced.
I hope so. It's been 40 years of just really, I've enjoyed it.
How do you feel? 95.
Yeah, if I get up every morning, I ride my bike, mess around in the garage with some weights, go play golf.
Yeah.
And I work for a couple of nice guys over at the golf course, and I'm enjoying it.
I bet I have a question you've never been asked. What kind of music does Clem Charlton and Gene listen to?
Well, you want to know, we were very good dancing at Western music. We
Really?
love Western music.
You and Gene shake a leg out there in the
Oh,
kitchen?
she's pretty good.
Really?
But we've always been on the cowboy side, Western music.
Hey, speaking about Cowboys, how about yesterday? The Dallas Cowboys win a game, heartbroken, fans all over the world that are Cowboy fans because of Dak Prescott hurting his leg. What were you thinking? Did you see the play?
Now, I saw it, and I knew he was hurt. But, I'm a New York Giant fan. That's where my uncle was coached.
Wow.
Steve Owens was there from 1935 to 53.